No spend months are a pretty simple concept. You take 1 month and you cut your spending down to zero or basically the absolute bare minimum. They're really popular in January. I've always hated doing them in January because it's such a bleak month to begin with. So I am going to do a no spend September. And what I want to talk about with you guys is how to get ready for one, because it's one of those things that's kind of hard to just jump right into without any type of prep. You can try it, but you will be pretty miserable and less likely to succeed. So I'm going to take the rest of August to prepare myself for this no spend September. And I wanted to go over with you guys just a few things that I'm doing to set myself up for success. Now, if you've never heard of a no spend month, it's super simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. The concept is you take a 1 month span of time and you don't spend any money. Now, almost everybody who does this modifies it a little bit. We all have expenses that we just can't get rid of, like buying food for our kids, paying our mortgage, paying our taxes, things like that. But with a no spend month, the idea is all discretionary spending is cut to zero. This makes life pretty simple. You don't have to decide whether things are a good buy or a good deal or whether you should do it or not. Your answer to all of these things is no, you are not spending the money. And since it's such a short, fixed period of time, it's really a great strategy to get your budget back on track and, even more importantly, sort of reset your expectations. It's really easy to get carried away with spending, start buying lots of little luxuries for ourselves, and then after a while that starts to feel like the norm. And so when you want to treat yourself, you have to go to even higher and higher levels, and before you know it, your expectations and your spending are totally out of control. A no spend month is probably the best way I know of to kind of reel all that back in, take yourself back to a good starting point. Now, I can talk a good game about this, and I recommend them all the time whenever people email me for money advice, which is generally a pretty bad idea because I am not very good with money. But when they do, I always say, hey, have you tried a no spend month? It really is the solution for so many things. It helps you figure out your very baseline budget, resets you in all the ways that we just talked about, and also just helps your finances. You're not spending money, so you're saving it, and that is a great thing. Now, I haven't done one in over a year, and it is definitely time. I've noticed that I am finding it all too easy to hit that add to cart button on all different apps, and I'm just not really happy with how many deliveries I'm getting, all the stuff I have. And a lot of that comes with the kids going back to school. I needed to order them a lot of things, and then I would throw some things in for myself. All in all, it just kind of feels gross, and I'm ready for a fresh start. And this is the very best way to do it. To prepare ourselves for our no spend month, our very first step is to get motivated. At the beginning, this feels kind of fun. You're like, oh, I'm not spending any money. I'm going to be looking for beans in the pantry. How exciting. And then after about 3 days, it really starts to be terrible. When you're at home, you're bored, you're like, oh, it'd be so nice to just go out to dinner tonight or go grab a cup of coffee or whatever, and you can't do it. It's not so fun anymore. So when those moments hit, you have to be prepared to get yourself motivated and go back to why you are doing this in the first place. So I haven't really nailed this down yet. I know that I'm really kind of disgusted with myself and the amount of clutter I have. And I guess for now, that is going to have to be my biggest motivation. So what I'll probably do is take a few pictures of my super cluttered spaces, put them up somewhere visible, and then that will have to motivate me to stop spending money. For a lot of people, they will do a no spend month because they're trying to save for something big like a vacation. That's an awesome motivation. Or they want to go down to a one income household and they want to know, hey, how much money are we wasting and how much of this could we totally cut out? What's our absolute bare bones budget? That's a great motivation too. I don't really have something that great, so I'm just kind of working with what I have, which is sort of my own self-loathing. Next step to get ready is to make the rules. We kind of touched on this at the very beginning. You can't really live in society unless you are a very special person and spend absolutely no money for a month. So my rules are going to be, we have to pay the bills, obviously. I do have to buy groceries for my kids. There are some things you can get ahead of time, but they need milk and I can make my own bread, that's fine. But there's produce, there's things like that I'm just gonna have to spend money on. So I'm gonna let myself spend about $60 a week on groceries. That's gonna be pretty much the bare minimum. That is still gonna have me eating down a lot of food I have in my freezer, in my pantry. $60, I can make that work. So I'm gonna keep spending that. I also spend some money on vitamins. That sounds stupid. I want to keep buying those. But you have to figure out your rules. So some people will say no going out to eat. And some people will say, you know what, we will still go out to eat once a week. That is our weekly habit. We're going to keep doing it. I am going to say no going out to eat. So no sit down restaurants, no drive-thrus, but I am going to allow takeout, I think 1 day a week. I haven't 100% decided that. I just really hate cooking every single night. I don't know. I really have to think about that. It's kind of going against the spirit of the no spend month to get takeout once a week. I might end up cutting that. It's just a short period of time. Okay, I'm going to decide now, no takeout for September, no going out to eat, nothing. Another thing I'm going to have to spend money on are some business expenses. I have hosting for my blog, things like that. I can't stop paying that. That would just be extremely foolish. Things like that are no-brainers. You don't even have to write that down. That's silly. But things like takeout or little discretionary spending that really does feel necessary to you, you need to decide ahead of time whether or not that is within the rules. Because when you are in the heat of the moment and you really want that thing, it's really easy to bend those rules. So write it down and stick to it. My next step for getting ready for a no spend September is to take inventory of what I already have. I have a ton of stuff in my house, as I have just discussed. I have like 4 different cabinet hidey holes where I keep food ingredients. I have a upright freezer in my basement. I have shelving in my basement full of like school supplies, food, snacks, ingredients. I have weird stuff under my bed. I have all these toys in my kids' hallway closet. It's supposed to be their linen closet, but it's just filled with their toys. So I have a ton of stuff that when I feel like I need something is brand new, unopened, and tucked away. I need to get a handle on that so that when my kids are bored, I can say, hey, go up to your toy closet. You have 6 unopened craft kits up there. Go take one out. Which brings me to my next tip. You need to plan your meals and you need to plan them down to the very last detail. What side dishes are you serving? What snacks are you serving? What fruits are you packing for your kids in their lunchbox? What are you having for breakfast? All of these things. Is there a birthday coming up and you need ingredients for a cake? Because every time you run out and make an unplanned trip to the store, first of all, you're breaking the rules. Secondly, you're going to spend more money than you planned. It's just a recipe for disaster. I'm not saying you can't go to the grocery store during this time. I'll be going to the grocery store, but you need to know what you have and you have to be sure you're ready to feed your entire family for a month within the rules that you've set. Last tip that you're going to want to do before you get started is to download a really quick tracking printable to keep you on track. This is not fancy. This is not fancy at all. It's just like check boxes for 31 days. Every time you stick to the rules, you check a box off. For whatever reason, it really is motivating. You could even get yourself stickers if that is the type of person you are. But it's motivating, it helps you stick to it, and put it up in a visible spot on your fridge, something like that. And whenever you adhere to the rules of your challenge, go ahead and check a box off of that printable. I'm going to leave in the description box a link to a PDF that I will make for you. It will be extremely basic, but it will open right up. You can print that out and use that as your tracker. This is a tough challenge. It's kind of easy to talk about. It sounds like it would be fun and adventurous. It's hard. It is really hard. Everything in our society is designed to make us spend money at every single turn. So if you want to do this with me, I would love it. I'd be so excited to have someone joining in. But take a few days as August winds down and realize, what makes you spend money? Is it looking at Facebook ads? Is it getting in certain Facebook groups and listening to people talk about things they bought? Is it hanging out with certain people? Is it watching certain shows or getting catalogs in the mail? And you can take a little bit of time to kind of remove those triggers from your life. And remember, the most important thing to remember is this is just for 1 month. So it's going to be tough. You don't have to be super prepared. When it ends, you are going to hate all the food that you have in your house. You are going to be so ready for this to be over, but you're going to come out of it with a renewed sense of gratitude for the things you do spend money on. And it kind of keeps you out of that cycle of just wanting more and more and more. So it's a great strategy that solves a lot of problems if you're willing to do it. And these are the best ways to get ready. So I hope that helps you. And don't forget to grab your printable in the link below. And I'll be back next week with a video on creating your own soap recipes, hopefully with ingredients that you already have on hand.